Good morning, everyone. It's Matt here from Sharpe Medical Accounting. I hope you're all well, and I hope that the recent video that I sent across about the annual allowance pension tax changes was well received. We've had a few comments in return, and I'm grateful for all of you who took the time to watch that video. Now, of course, we're only a few days away from the end of the tax year, 5th of April 2023, and therefore I thought it was a good idea to write out to all of my clients or send this video post out to all of my clients, just bringing to the surface the things that we should be thinking about. So, of course, what I'm giving you today is not client specific, but it's an overview of where we should be thinking for the next couple of weeks. And for many of you, there will be no actions to take here, but there will certainly be one or two doctors on our client base who say, well, this provides an opportunity for me to finish the tax year efficiently. So year-end planning, tax year end, 5th of April 2023. We've broadly got three areas: salary decisions, pension decisions, and dividend decisions. Obviously, we could talk forever and a day about investment opportunities and ISAs, but I think really what we need to do is look at the things that affect most doctors in private practice. And let's start with the salary decision. Now, as you know, come the 5th of April 2023, we then complete any individual person's tax year. So what's on your tax return at that date is what you're stuck with. We need to make sure that everything's in place before that date. And you will be aware that for a UK tax resident, the first £12,570 worth of income is received tax-free during the year because of the personal tax allowance. And then the income from £12,570 up to circa £50,000, so that strip of approximately £38,000, is taxed at a relatively low rate of 20% with regards salary. There is national insurance as well when you go up to that level, but we do have to be mindful of the personal tax allowance at 12.5 grand, and then that nice long strip of tax at 20%, which is often quite useful. So I would encourage everybody to look at their business. Obviously, if you've got an NHS salary earning more than 50 grand a year, this probably won't impact you, but it might impact a family member. So if you've got a husband or wife or partner or child or even parent who works in the business, and I say works in the business, this is not a giveaway. It can't be seen as being some sort of favour for my mate. If this person works in your business, does administration, maybe manages your zero account, perhaps does billing, secretarial work, diary management, and think a little bit broader than this. What about things like GDPR and your systems and control? Business is highly it's highly regulated these days for anybody who's regulated by the ICO. We have to protect data, make backups. There's lots of work to be done here. And therefore, just be careful that there aren't people in your business who are doing work like this. So, for example, a low-earning spouse who is backing up your data, doing your GDPR procedures, and is not being paid for it. So let me give you a quick example. With a few days of the tax year to go, you might be a high earner, but your partner might be earning just £5,000 per year. So small job, perhaps at home looking after your business as well. If your partner is earning just £5,000 per year, I would be saying to myself, well, is there an opportunity to pay my partner approximately £8,000 worth of salary from my company? Because that would give my partner tax-free income, because their income will go from 5 grand to approximately 12,000. So it will be covered by the personal tax allowance. It will not attract national insurance either. So that's tax-free income leaving the business into the hands of a loved one. Similarly, the company would benefit because this is a business cost. We're employing this person. We're paying them for their services. It's not a dividend. We're paying them for what they've done. And therefore, we've got another cost in the profit and loss account that reduces the company's profit, reduces the company's tax. So we win in both ways. We get money out of the company tax effectively, and we reduce the company's tax bill. So please do review who works for your business. Look at what they do. Look at what they should be doing. Make sure you've documented what they do, even if you think it's a given. So if you think doing zero every month, so doing the bookkeeping is a given, well, it's not a given. It needs to be written down. and then make sure that that person is being paid appropriately. And work from the perspective of what income do they already have and what would we like them to have. So in that example, 5 grand is what they've got. We'd like them to have 12. What do they do that would justify that difference of 7 grand? But we are limited by this wholly and exclusively piece of legislation. So this wholly and exclusively wording says that in order for the corporation tax relief to be secure, they actually have to be worth this money. So let me give you an extreme example. If you had a partner who does 1 hour of admin per month and you decide to pay them £50,000 per year, that's not a cost that is likely to be considered wholly and exclusively for the trade. It actually looks like some sort of tax efficient gift, a little bit of tax avoidance even. So make sure that it is a reward which is wholly and exclusively in keeping with what they do. The work is for their business. There's no two ways about it. Looking after children at home doesn't count, by the way. I've heard that one a few times. We can't say, well, if it wasn't for my partner looking after the kids, I wouldn't be able to go to work. It doesn't work like that. That's not wholly and exclusively. Your bookkeeping is, your GDPR is, even preparing for meetings, advertising, that's wholly and exclusively for private practice. So have a good think about it and let me know what you'd like to do. I would need to hear, ideally within the next week, anybody who would like to put through a salary before the end of the accounting year. We've then got pension decisions, so very similar really. In fact, it's almost identical. We're looking here at favourable tax bands. Well, I suppose we're looking at favourable tax bands, but we're probably more looking at somebody who could receive a pension contribution from your company, but it wouldn't inconvenience them from a lifetime or annual allowance perspective. So as we know, NHS doctors, they're restricted by how much they can put into their pension. But if this spouse doesn't have any pension contributions, or maybe only has a pension contribution of 10, 15, 20,000 pounds, if we believe they are worth a contribution of 10, 20,000 pounds, well, why not do that? In other words, this stay-at-home spouse might say, well, I don't really want the salary. I am working, but I don't want salary. I'd rather have it put into my pension. The company could do that. Again, it would get money out of the company tax efficiently. The money would fall into a private pension, which could in the future provide a better retirement income. It could generate interest and or gains tax-free. But again, the real beauty here, and it really is that the corporation tax bill will reduce because we've got a cost. It's called pension contributions for an employee. We are limited by the wholly and exclusively rules as usual. So again, we can't give a £50,000 pension contribution to a stay-at-home spouse who doesn't know he or she is even working in the business. We've got to be sensible. When there is an opportunity, let's take it. There's limitations associated with the LTA, so lifetime allowance and annual allowance as well. So please bear in mind that if you are the medic, if you're the NHS doctor and you're in the pension, I've put LTA in here. That's probably not quite right, is it, anymore? Because if we believe what the government told us, the lifetime allowance won't be an issue going forward, but annual allowance certainly will. So if you are accruing pension benefits in the NHS, just be very, very careful about putting extra contributions into your pension, because it's a dangerous game. In fact, I would be inclined to say that unless you are absolutely certain that you will not exceed the £40,000 pension input allowance for this year, don't put in. This is aimed at spouse. This is aimed at the non-doctor, the husband or wife who works for the business but in a non-medical capacity. So those two top points are all about rewarding someone for their work, reward for service. Well, then we've got dividend, which is, well, it's totally different. Dividends are paid to shareholders. It's nothing to do with the amount of work they do or do not do for your business. I regularly use the example, I'm sure many of you have heard me say it, that I often receive a dividend from Asda's, but I've never stacked any beans on the shelf in my life, and I couldn't be criticised for that. Ultimately, I'm an investor. So don't worry about proving that this person is worth the dividend. They are entitled to the dividend if they own shares in the business. The first £2,000 worth of dividend is tax-free. So if one of your shareholders is not in receipt of the £2,000 tax-free dividend and the reserves are available, why not pay it? Bear in mind that if they are a basic rate taxpayer earning less than £52,000 per year, the dividends are taxed at just 7.5%. So we wouldn't want to leave our shareholder family member at 30 grand a year if there's plenty of money in the company to get them up to nearer 50. So just look at that really fertile ground. It's a lovely spot to be in at 7.5%. And let's just keep one eye on next year. And again, this has been a real issue for me over the past week since the budget. If you know you've got to get money out of the business over the next couple of years, well, this might be the year to do it. Because up until the 5th of April 2023, if your total taxable income is less than 150, that's NHS salary plus dividends plus rent plus foreign income, etc. If you're less than 150, you will not pay the highest rate of tax on dividends. So the tax will be 32.5%. It's not a giveaway, but it's not as bad as it could be. Next year, if you earn 150k, the bit above 125 will be taxed at 38.1%. So for the 5th of April 2023, 150 is our ideal level. We don't want to go too far above it if we can avoid it. Next year, it's 125. So if, for example, you've got income this year of £110,000 and you say to me, Matt, I don't really need the money now, but I think I probably will need it in the next 2 or 3 years, I'd be inclined to say, well, bite the bullet now then. Take your income from 110 to 150, accept the tax. Ultimately, the money's got to move at some point. And then next year, you could restrict your dividends knowing that you've already released the cash at the relatively low rates. Next year, for example, if you're earning £110,000 NHS salary, you might restrict your dividend to just £15,000 and therefore land on that 125. But it would be a real shame, wouldn't it, to leave this tax year on 140 when you could have gone as far as 150 without the highest rate of tax, knowing full well that you're going to need the money eventually anyway. Because you don't earn a dividend, there's no corporation tax relief. So remember, this is a distribution out of already taxed income. We don't need to prove, therefore, that the person does any work for this. If you said to me, Matt, I want to reduce my corporation tax bill, and that's my one priority, putting a dividend out is not the answer. It makes no difference. The corporation tax is lost before dividends are even considered. Hopefully this 12-30-minute video gives us food for thought. Please think about it yourselves. Have a look at the people in your business. Let me know if there are any opportunities that you can see. If you could email me rather than ringing me, that would be better, because I feel there may be quite a few people who have got some ideas along these lines, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can over the next week or so. Salaries, by the way, if you do make a decision on salary, we will put it through payroll for you. And pensions, if you make a decision on pension, it absolutely has to move. The money has to move before the 5th of April. We can't accrue it and say it's an accrued cost. It's got to be paid. So let's think about that. Anyway, over to you. Thank you for listening to me. I'm going to try and keep these videos going the best I can, and hopefully we've stirred up some good points for consideration. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.